It is the worst terror attack on civilians in Jammu and Kashmir in years and years. At least 25 tourists have been killed, and those numbers could rise. The Home Minister is on the ground in the Kashmir Valley. He's holding an emergency security meeting as the Prime Minister has vowed retaliation and has vowed that the perpetrators of this attack will be brought to justice. I'm Barkha, you're with the Mojo story. Our focus today is on that big terror attack that has unfolded in Pahalgam, in Kashmir. Tourists targeted and killed as they were riding ponies and horses up the Sylvan hills of Pahalgam. The terrorists reported to have been disguising themselves in military camouflages with no road, pakka road there. The terrorists were lurking in hiding. You can see the desperation on the faces of those tourists, bewildered and overwhelmed, bodies strewn on the hills and the mountains of Pahalgam. Now, this is the worst terror attack on civilians in years in Jammu and Kashmir. This fact confirmed by the Chief Minister, Omar Abdullah. And its timing is significant. The attack has clearly been targeted and timed to coincide with the visit of US President JD Vance in India. This is an old terrorist playbook trick. This was tried years ago when President Bill Clinton was in India and terrorists unleashed what has come to be known as the Chitti Singhpura massacre in the Kashmir Valley. From the president to the prime minister, to the home minister, to the chief minister, to the lieutenant governor, to members of the opposition, to all political parties in Jammu and Kashmir, reactions are pouring in. And the prime minister has said that the perpetrators will be brought to justice. Nobody will be spared. That is the prime minister's statement. Those behind this heinous act will be brought to justice. They will not be spared. This attack comes days after a rather unhinged address by Pakistan's army chief Asim Munir, where he reiterated how Kashmir was quote-unquote the jugular vein for Pakistan, and even sought to drive a wedge between Hindus and Muslims by claiming how Muslims of Pakistan were different from the Hindus of India, forgetting that there are millions and millions of Muslims who call India their home. A grim, dastardly, dark day. Let me introduce our panel of experts as we look at what has happened and what might happen next. I want to welcome three very distinguished military veterans on this program. General Rakesh Sharma is with us. He's, of course, at the Vivekanand Foundation. Welcome to the program, sir. It's good to see you here. I'm also joined by Brigadier Sandeep Thapar, military veteran, and I'm also joined by General Raj Shukla, who is, of course, a former army commander. It's important to say that all of these men have had on-ground experience dealing with insurgencies, dealing with terrorism, dealing with the aftermath of what this situation, a situation like today, brings. And I don't need to say this, there will be retaliation, there will be a response. The Prime Minister has said it, the President has said it, the Lieutenant Governor has said it, and we'll talk about what's happened and what might happen next. Let me play out a very disturbing video. Trigger warning, some of these images are disturbing. We've had to blur some of the more graphic images, but I have seen the unblurred footage, and I can describe to you that there are blood-soaked bodies strewn across the hills of Pahalgam with their overwhelmed families, desperate for help. Many of the local Kashmiris are the ones who take these ponies and these horses up, and they were also part of the rescue and relief operation and the immediate response. Let's play out this very disturbing clip for you.
अपने आप बोले ना मुझे
क्या बोलते भेलपुरी खाली से मेरा पति साइड में था, एक इंसान है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे। उसने
बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
नहीं आप टेंशन मत लो। अब बेटा आप यहाँ पे रहो, हम साथ में। मैडम ये जो भीड़ साहब है प्रेसिडेंट, आप टेंशन मत लो।
मेरे पति का बच्चा लो,
हम बचा देगा, कोई बात नहीं। भाई तो करिए फोन दब से मन युवा डिजाइन किया है। ठीक है हम बचा देंगे ना, आप टेंशन मत लो। मैं आ रहा हूँ। मैं कहाँ पे आपका ये हस्बैंड? क्या हुआ इसको, क्या हुआ?
Please ask for help. We don't need
Okay, don't worry. You okay? You need a water, sir?
Sir, we'll manage. Just ask for help.
Okay, you first you give the hands water, drop of water. Take a drop of water, sir, please.
Please.
आपने आप बोले ना मुझे
पर थी क्या बोलते बोलते भेलपुरी खा रही थी, मेरा पति साइड में था, एक इंसान आया, उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे।
उसने बोला कि ये शायद मुस्लिम।
All right, so that is a very disturbing video, and on your screen are images of Amit Shah touching down in Kashmir, received there by Omar Abdullah. There is a high-level emergency security meeting that has been called. It is a terrible day. At last count, we know that 25 have been killed. Those numbers could rise. These are just tourists out to have a holiday in Kashmir. This is a time when it's peak tourist season in Kashmir, and what can one say? It really does, as the Lieutenant Governor say, make one's blood boil. It also makes you feel like, what must those families be going through who just came for a holiday to Kashmir? My heart goes out to those who have lost their loved ones on the most innocuous, on mundane of holidays for them. I mean, imagine saying, okay, you know what? I'm just going to take my son or my daughter or my mother or my father for a horse ride. And then this is what happens. Bodies strewn on the hills, as I said, of Pahalgam. But also important to note that in many cases, including the person who shot this video and is offering water, it is the local Kashmiris who also came to the help of those who needed help, because this is a hilly area without a road, and it took some time before professional help could come. Let's get first reactions. The Home Minister is in Kashmir. General Shukla, I'll start with you. I was making the point, old enough to remember being a young reporter when Bill Clinton was in India, when the Chitty Singhpura massacre happened, and I cannot divorce that memory from JD Vance being in India and this dastardly attack on civilians, the worst attack on civilians in years and years taking place. Your first thoughts, General Shukla, I'll start with you.
So, Barkha, now as more and more details of this incident are coming out, it does appear to be extremely ghastly, dastardly, cowardly. And if this business of religious targeting is true, it is absolutely, condemnable. Now, there is little doubt that the Pakistani state is back to terror as a tool of statecraft, and this is the outcome. The third point that I would like to make, this constant point about it being timed by the visit of Mr. JD Vance, I think that's a thorough misread of the international situation. The context of Bill Clinton was very different.
Misreading by whom? Misreading by me or by Pakistan?
No, I mean by the Pakistanis. By the Pakistanis. So if that was the timing, and if it is timed with the Prime Minister's visit to Saudi Arabia, it is worse. Because the Prime Minister is going to that part of the Islamic world where the strategic discourse is modernizing. It is very different from all this. So those are those 3 points. Now, when it comes to India, now that these, gruesome details are coming out, I know there are people wiser than me, General Rakesh Sharma, my good friend Deep Thapa. It does appear to me that there is no other acceptable response except a very strong military response, given the mood in the country. The only thing as a military veteran appears is that we must have a strong, calibrated response, but for heaven's sake, shield it from the general emotions, because a military response which is driven by emotion will not be wise. So I'm saying a strong, calibrated response. The people in the know, I'm sure, are doing it, but we must carefully in terms of timing, the domain, what we wish to do, what the response will be, how we are prepared for that, must be deeply thought through. So it is really a very defining moment in our strategic military evolution. It is indeed a big challenge to Indian state, to its statecraft, to democracy, as we discussed, because this is a direct challenge to return of normalcy in Kashmir, livelihood, tourism. So it is indeed a very big strategic moment. And we have to respond, but respond with thought, care, and wisdom. And, it has to be a strong military response. I can think of nothing else at the moment. Let me now yield to the floor to people wiser than me.
Yeah. I want to say to you that the images on the screen, even as General Shukla talks about a strong military response, being the requirement of the hour given the mood of the country, These are locals protesting. They're walking with candles in Pahalgam, because remember what these terrorists have done, aside of trying to provoke India into rage, is actually hurt the economy of the local population, which is intrinsically linked to the tourists coming in, and therefore you see these local Kashmiris taking out a candlelight vigil. General Sharma, I want to bring you in, and then Brigadier Thapar. Do go ahead. General Shukla is correct in saying that Pakistan, like, what is the end game? Pakistan has misread the situation. The world is very different from the years of Clinton, when Pakistan used to try. Sorry, General Shukla, you're trying to say something before I get General Sharma? Yes, please go ahead. I can't hear you,
I
sir.
really want to hear General Sharma's response. See, as our foreign policy gets more muscular, our military instrument must be kept in a constant state of readiness and nourished. I've been making this point very often, and I think that moment has come.
Yeah. Okay. General Sharma, do please go ahead. Protests have erupted in Pahalgam. We should correct that spelling. In Pahalgam against the targeted killing of tourists, and that's an important point. Yes, one of the eyewitnesses did speak about religious targeting, which General Shukla referenced and said ki unko bola gaya that if you're not Muslim, so you can be killed. But equally, those on the street and those helping these people are also Muslims, and they're the locals, and they're outraged, right? What happens now? I mean, do you agree with General Shukla that there may be no option but a strong military response from the president to the prime minister? Everybody's already spoken of it, of not what they'll do, but of the fact that perpetrators will be brought to justice.
Thank you, Barkha. It is indeed a horrific attack. My heart goes out. The visuals are painful to see the families bereaving at this time, and this is a tough day for us. Now, having said that, I absolutely agree with you. We should have been cautious of the fact after the Pakistani Army chief spoke last week when he said, of course, the jugular vein, but then another jugular vein, he said that there are two nations, Hindus and Hindustan Muslims, and him having said, and he labored on it, he ranted on the issue for quite some time. It is just not that he finished with one remark. And he also said that Kashmir is an identity issue with Pakistan Army, is also anti-Indianism. So they have to keep the nation going. This statement that he was making was to the audience which came from all over the world, Pakistanis who came to Islamabad, whom he was addressing. And naturally, we understand the problems that he's having with BLA in Balochistan and with the TTP in KP and all these issues. And I think that exhortation of Hindus and Muslims being two different nations has manifested itself out here when people were searching, saying this fellow doesn't look like a local and a Muslim, and you shot him. So the fact is that this is a premeditated. That's the first issue. Second is it was a well-planned thing. It was fine, very superb place to select where there is no road there. It is far away from habitation. There are less security forces around. There is tourists there. It's international news. It was also tourist season just beginning. It is kids' holidays just starting. So what happens is that they well targeted the issue, well targeted the people, and selected the objective out here. Third is that there is a sleeper cells, or whatever we might call it, and OGWs and nomenclatures abound. There are people who can be goaded. There is weapons available. There is ammunition around, and their selection of targets is meticulous. So there is a infrastructure which is not totally died away. Let's not push it behind to think that all is well, and let's we brought the peace across into the valley. Such incidents can blow up at any one time. We saw with no notice earlier, south of Peer Panjal came up in such big way that forced Indian Army to push 15,000 odd troops south of Peer Panjal from reserve formations. So things can build up at one time, and we need to be protective. My last point here. Naturally, I absolutely agree with what General Shukla has said, that there has to be a response. There is no diplomatic response. There is no diplomatic relationship existing. There is no economic response. There is no economy existing here. We get some kind of People who come for medical treatment from Pakistan, you can block them. It makes little difference to them. We have some trade that goes across through Dubai to Pakistan. If you block it, it doesn't make a difference much. The fact is that we can't outguess the government as to what the government must do. In the course of last 7 to 8 or 10 years, since such kind of dastardly acts took place, the government had pushed the services to draw out plans to respond to various actions, which must have been available, tried out, tested, discussed with the politicians. General Shukla would know better. He was in the MO directorate earlier. And so there is a repertoire of actions available to us, and that which one arrow to be taken out this time to be targeted, I think will allow the government to decide as to which is the best response possible at this time.
I want to bring in Brigadier Thapar now. There's a lot happening. We're trying to keep track of all of it. J&K Chief Minister Omar Abdullah is briefing the Union Home Minister. Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha and other high-level officials are also present. Those are images from moments ago of Amit Shah touching down in the Kashmir Valley. If I can also please have our producers bring up the tweets of the President, the Lieutenant Governor, the Prime Minister, Omar Abdullah. Before Brigadier Thapar comes in, General Shukla, I saw you raise your hand. Yes, please, sir.
I want to make one point to draw in General Sharma and Sandeep. You
Yes.
know, when I was commanding Baramulla division, I saw one distinct trend. There would be an encounter 600 meters from Gulmarg, but Gulmarg mein kuch nahi hota tha. The terrorists then generally kept off, except
That's
one
right.
action which happened last year.
That's
Now,
right.
if it is deliberate targeting of tourists in Pahalgam, this cannot be with a strong Pakistani nudge. And so this is an uptick in the whole terror. I wonder, this is my thought. I wonder what General Sharma and Sandeep have to say on this.
Yeah, it's a very important thought because, you know, Brigadier Thapar, the fact that locals are angry, and I'll play out some of the statements, you will see there's across the board anger in whatever be their politics, in the J&K political class. Because, of course, this is war against India, but it is also destroying. It is destroying the economy, the livelihoods of a Kashmir so altered that whatever be your view on 370 abrogation, how it was done, how it was not done, all of that, I am saying as somebody who has reported on Kashmir for 30 years in downtown Srinagar, जहां कबूतर नहीं उड़ता था 6 बजे के बाद, खचाखच, you know, crowds till midnight. I saw this just in the middle of the assembly elections, right? In an assembly election in which people voted in massive numbers. Brigadier Thapar, your thoughts, sir?
See, Barkha, my worthy predecessors have covered the strategic, diplomatic, and military issues fairly well, much beyond I could even think. The larger context they've all covered. I have two small points. What you're saying is absolutely correct. Pet pe laat marna it's not done because it affects the common Kashmiri. It affects his livelihood. It affects his roji roti. It affects the entire valley, the sentiment. That is not done. Now, coming to you covered the major issues, Asif Munir, Juggler Wayne, JD Vance, Chhattisgarh Singh Pura, all those, Amarnath Yatra. Now, let me touch a few things. Firstly, what I've been reading past couple of months, the Pak economy has seen a slight improvement. And there has been political turmoil. So, naturally, the focus shifts towards India. What to do to shift the attention from the turmoil. And now that we've got a little resources, let's target India. Then if you notice in the past month or two, the targeting has been South Kashmir, Kathua, Akhnur, Rajouri, to bring the probably the focus down. And this upper portion, now this happened. Now, let me share a personal experience, which before I come to the main point. My son is in Valley. A couple of days ago, he came down to Srinagar for a conference, and at night, as children are, he went out to Dal Lake to have dinner alone in civil dress. And he is sending me photographs from there, and I was horrified. I said, "What are you doing? You are alone in a Fauji vehicle sitting." He says that this place is safe. No, that is what I'm saying. What Raj also said, the mentality became that Valley has become safe. Baramulla is safe. Dal Lake is safe. Pahalgam is safe. Gulmarg is safe. So maybe there was certain amount of complacency. Otherwise, this is one of the two routes of Amarnath Yatra, which is starting 70 odd days later. This always stays in focus. Even if your troops are not deployed, your attention, security attention stays focused on this area. Because I was in Delta Force before I retired. We used to send our elements along this route only for security, well, about 30 odd days before the Yatra started. So they should be coming next month. But the fact is that you don't leave these areas unsecured, or there has been certain amount of intelligence failure. There has been certain amount of complacency. Otherwise, you could not have had an attack of this nature.
Okay, we will look at that dimension also. Was there a certain, वो होता है कि things better होती हैं तो आपको लगता है कि चलो अब बेहतर हो गई. But there are many things that have been said. One, there has to be a response. General Shukla has said there has to be a military response. General Sharma says we've got to leave it to the government. It is, as they say, it will be a time and place of India's choosing. There will be a lot of inputs in that. Brigadier Thapar flags the fact that, was there a certain eye off the ball? And we'll talk about that. But in the meantime, this is impacting all of India. These tourists are from everywhere in India, right? So, for example, BJP MP from Bangalore South, Tejasvi Surya, has tweeted, and we can bring up that tweet. I have spoken with Mrs. Pallavi, wife of Sri Manjunath, who was killed in the terrorist attack earlier today. They hail from Shimoga in Karnataka. I've also spoken with other family members who've been injured. There is MK Stalin tweeting. This is across parties, across states. This is about India. This is what I want everybody to keep in mind. Now, can we bring up the tweets? I want to just read the tweets of the president, the prime minister, the home minister. The home minister is in Kashmir. The president, the terrorist attack is shocking and painful, dastardly and inhuman. Attacking innocent citizens in this case is utterly appalling and unpardonable. And if you move on, you have, of course, the prime minister himself. This is the Tejasvi Surya tweet that I was talking about tourists who had come from Karnataka. There is a woman who is going to be going back. She came on a holiday, Mrs. Pallavi. She's going to be going back without her husband, Sri Manjunath. There are similar comments coming in from leaders of all states, chief ministers and MPs of all states. And as I mentioned, the Lieutenant Governor has a particularly strong statement. That's the BJP President, JP Nadda. But if we can move on to the LG statement, look at this. It's a very important statement. I want all three of you to look at this. Anti-terror ops have been launched to neutralize terrorists. Entire nation is angry. The blood of our forces is boiling. I want to assure the nation that the perpetrators of the attack will have to pay a very heavy price. My heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families. And finally, of course, the Prime Minister himself, which is where we should take our cue from what will happen next. The Prime Minister has already said that the perpetrators will be brought to justice. Now, a lot of thoughts have been thrown up, including whether we join the dots to Asim Munir's. We need a proper tweet of the Prime Minister, please, if we can have that up. But there it is. Yeah, those behind this heinous act will be brought to justice. They will not be spared. Their evil agenda will never succeed. Now, there are dots that have been joined to Vance's visit, to Asim Munir's very unhinged communal speech. We'll get to all of that. But first, a very anguished response, I thought, from a number of J&K politicians, but in particular, Sajad Lone. Listen to him. He said, "Ye log jahannam की आग में जलेंगे जिन्होंने ये किया है वो जहन्नुम की आग में जलेंगे." टेक अ लुक एट दिस.
आपको बता दूं कि इससे बड़ा दुश्मन कोई कश्मीरियों का नहीं हो सकता. एक जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों की बिलखसूस जो कश्मीरी है, यहाँ टूरिस्ट आज नहीं 200 साल से आते. हमारा एक नाम है, हमारी एक पहचान है जिसको शनाख्त कहते हैं. वो है कि हम मेहमान नवाज लोग हैं. हम अजनबी से अजनबी इंसान को अपने घर में, अपने दिल में जगह देते थे. ये वार उसके ऊपर है, उस पहचान के ऊपर. और उसके अलावा ये जो इक्तिसादी आज़ादी है कश्मीरी की कि वो अपने बलबूते पर कमाए, ये उसके खिलाफ एक अटैक है. ये चाहते हैं ये लोग कि यहाँ से टूरिस्ट निकल जाए, और कश्मीरी जो है वो बगैर कमाई के, बगैर किसी चीज के जो है गुलाम बन के रहे। ये हमारे बच्चों के दुश्मन हैं, हमारी आने वाले नस्लों के दुश्मन हैं। ये टेररिस्ट लोग हैं। अल्लाह इनको गर्क करे, वो मैं इतना ही कह सकता हूं। अल्लाह गर्क करे इनको कि जो निहत्ते टूरिस्ट को निशाना बनाए। इंशाअल्लाह न यहां माफी होगी न आखिरत में माफी होगी। ये जहन्नम की आग में जलेंगे। ये सही बात नहीं है। और जो इंसान ऐसी चीज को सपोर्ट करता है वो भी जहन्नम की आग में जलेगा।
ये जहन्नुम की आग में जलेंगे। It's a very, Sajad Lone's father was assassinated by, he was a separatist, but he was a separatist in dialogue with the government, with the Vajpayee government, and he was assassinated by the ISI-backed terrorists. And Sajad, you can feel his rage. This is personal loss for him, but I think he speaks, General Sharma, you wanted to come in, for all Kashmiris, when he says, ye log Kashmiriyon ke dushman hai. और ये जहन्नुम की आग में जलेंगे और जो इनको सपोर्ट करते हैं वो भी जहन्नुम की आग में जलेंगे. Meanwhile, this is a new dimension. PTI is reporting that 2 foreigners are among those feared dead. This is going to give this an international dimension, not of the kind that Pakistani terrorists and their backers hoped for, but a very different kind of international dimension. General Sharma, PTI is reporting this. We don't have independent confirmation, but go ahead, General Sharma.
Yeah, thank you. Barkha, the point is that when the Punjab insurgency took a backflip, it took a backflip on the shoulders of the mass of Punjab people, where they thought, it's enough has been enough, and they moved against the terrorists and against the militants, and that changed the character. It supported the police and it supported the security forces, and that changed. When the public changed its thought process, the insurgency changed its character, and you could feel, all of us who have been in Punjab for long, we understand how things change because of this. Now, I agree with what Sajad Lone has said, that the people who did this should go to Jahannam, and also people who are supporters go to Jahannam. In broad daylight at 2:30 in the afternoon, 3 to 4 people carrying whole lot of ammunition and whole lot of weaponry, even if dressed in some kind of a uniform, are there, and then they wouldn't have been there suddenly landing up from nowhere. They were obviously not police people, neither security forces people. They have been supported by some local establishment also, local people also. So the fact is, the public has to rise. It is not intelligence failures alone. It is not security failures alone. It's till the time the public feels anguished as what has happened, and their livelihood is being hurt and quartered into their developmental. I went 2 months ago, and we went at night. Sandeep is saying about his son. We went across in a VIF delegation. We all went across to the Lal Chowk, and such beautiful, and it was such fantastic experience out there. People have to get anguished as to what the terrorists are doing. That will change the character of what these people are doing across into the valley.
Yeah, I want to come back to General Shukla and Brigadier Thapar on this religious dimension, joining the dots with General Asim Munir's crazy unhinged speech. And when I say unhinged, I don't mean it was without a plan. By the way, those are images of candlelight vigils. These are also unprecedented scenes, right? For all of us here, all you gentlemen are veterans. I've cut my teeth reporting Kashmir. This kind of popular protest against terrorism, without fear, coming out and holding candles and saying this is not acceptable, is something that we need to take note of. Meanwhile, we are getting information that the so-called resistance front, a Pakistan-backed proxy of the Lashkar, has claimed responsibility for the attack. These are, of course, these names that they keep changing. It's very much an LET hand. General Shukla, there are many dots to join. Okay, and I want to join the geopolitical dots. Vance in India, Prime Minister headed to Saudi Arabia, right? Asim Munir's crazy speech, the uprising in Baluchistan. We've got to join these dots. The normalcy in Kashmir, the tourists, the successful elections. We've got to join all these dots, right? Meanwhile, these heartbreaking images. I don't know who this devastated woman is sitting by the side of somebody she's lost. Can we take the banner off for a second and play that image again? I want us to look at that image. Take the banner off. Just show me that image again, please. Shows that image. It's just a heartbreaking image.
He
This
seems newly
captures
married.
newly married, because you can see it by the bangles on her wrist. That's well spotted. Jana Shukla, go ahead.
So, Barkha, since you talking of the geopolitical dots to be joined, people say that the most severely challenged state in terms of national security is Israel. Look at India.
Yeah.
What is happening on the northern borders, where the military component of the power differential, I keep saying, is $450 billion. Pakistan, collusivity with China, Turkey, even more dangerous, dronery, and this terror bit. I've been repeatedly drawing. Today I saw General Bakshi talking about it. Bangladesh, ISI chief traveling, Lal Munir Haq, all that stuff. So before I come to the tactical stuff, we have to really step up our game in national security. This is another wake-up moment. Look at our defense budget. What is our capacity in stealth-enabled defensive air power, drone missile force, AD topology? Because a muscular foreign policy with a military response will get this reaction. Let's not be babes in the wood. This is another wake-up moment, for heaven's sake. There is a strategic design all around us. Let us not talk of the IOR. That's one point. Now let's get to the politics, and one brief point I have on tactics. Politics, I think, what we saw, the resolve, Prime Minister from Jeddah speaking to the Home Minister traveling there, the political sagacity of people like Sajjad Lone when he says this is an attack on our Mehman Nawazi, solidarity, extremely good point. And one tactical point, the people as experienced as I am, the biggest problem in terror situations for commanders is to keep vigilance levels high. It is almost an impossibility. Whenever you have a time of prolonged peace, on either side you will have Mora and Udi. It is extremely difficult to keep these vigilance levels up 24/7. This point has to be understood. So an incident like this, inexcusable, but it cannot be made a security intelligence failure unless we have deeper, insights into it. Ab isme hua kya hai? There is a meadow on a trekking trail, perhaps a pony trail, isolated. These chaps have recceed it well, the entry point, exit point. वो बीच में जो vendors हैं उनके साथ मिलजुल गए होंगे. I'm not justifying it, but as the peace footprint grows, as tourists grow, these vulnerabilities will only grow. It is extremely difficult, almost impossible to keep each point protected. I'm not justifying any of the thing that has happened, and therefore, I will reiterate that point which General Sharma is making, this point which has gone into our strategic community, that technology can lead to reduction of manpower in the context of Kashmir is thoroughly misplaced. So let us just get into it. There can be optimization of which is entirely different, but technology आई आपने manpower कम किया, ये हो ही नहीं सकता है. This is the nature of terror. So this is a time, apart from our responses, is to take stock of this broader issue. And I keep making this point of where our instrument of force is in our strategic calculus, and is it nourished well enough? There is no point waking up on the eve of something happening. This has to be a constant dynamic.
Yeah. I'm interrupting you just to give you a piece of news. Vice President JD Vance, who is in India, and we've been talking about, whether the terror attack is timed, he's responded. And I'm just going to read out that statement. Usha, by the way, is his wife of Indian origin. Usha and I extend our condolences to the victims of the devastating terrorist attack in Pahalgam, India. Over the past few days, we have been overcome with the beauty of this country and its people. Our thoughts and prayers are with them as they mourn this horrific attack. Let's get that up on our screen as soon as we can. General Shukla, go ahead.
Just add, my response to the Honorable Vice President. I think if at all there was any design, the Pakistanis have been stupid by half, because the response of the Trump administration, in my understanding, will be precisely the opposite. If it is to draw attention to Jammu and Kashmir, that will not be the issue. I'm pretty sure they will be admonished in private or even perhaps publicly by the Trump administration if they have timed it. And in terms of statecraft and all that stuff, it is absolutely below par if they have done anything of this sort.
Yeah. Let me bring in Brigadier Thapar. So as I said, JD Vance's comment is on your screen. He's actually reposted the Prime Minister's comment, which is important. And I will read it out again. Usha and I extend our condolences to the victim of the devastating terror attack. Over the past few days, we have been overcome with the beauty of this country and its people. Our thoughts and prayers are with them as they mourn this horrific attack. Brigadier Thapar, go ahead.
No, this was expected, and it's very nice on his part to do that. So it shows where his sentiments lie. But I would like to go back a little and touch on what John Sharma said, that the Kashmiris have a stake in this peace. And unless the Kashmiris rise up to this will not end. I totally agree. And towards that, I now want to add the political factor that tomorrow onwards, people are going to start targeting. This is going to have certain religious connotations, and you're going to start targeting Kashmiris. I do hope that better sense prevails and do not do that. You need to hold their hand. You need to encourage them to come aboard. They are doing it to a major extent. And well, not all, but bulk of them are, and we have seen improvement in the valley in the past couple of years. And I do hope that it has happened earlier. I think I personally tweeted it a couple of times. I think, I'm sorry, Barkha, to say target the media, not you, but some, that half the problem in Kashmir has been generated by some of our own media more than as much as Pakistan, by not trusting the Kashmiris or not or unfairly targeting them. So I hope this does not happen in this, because I like the Kashmiri spokesman, whoever has spoken against it. So I hope we hold their hands and encourage them to come aboard in our journey forward.
I want to just play out what we're getting from witnesses on the ground. I would, these are very, very painful clips to watch, but let's listen to some eyewitness accounts that are coming in.
हादसा हुआ है, मिलिटेंट अटैक हुआ है, तो आप वहाँ पे क्या कर रहे थे उस टाइम?
एक्चुअल में हम घूमने गए थे ऊपर, पहलगाम में घोड़ा बुक किए, उन्होंने 60 टूरिस्ट स्पॉट हमारी बात भी की है, सब हुआ। फिर हम जब मिनी स्विट्जरलैंड में पूरा घूमे फिर निकल रहे थे तो ये हादसा हुआ।
अच्छा, किसी को गोलियां चलाते हुए देखा?
नहीं, मैंने गोलियां चलाते हुए नहीं देखा, क्योंकि हम 20 फीट दूर थे, 20 फीट पीछे गोलियां चल रही थी। तो हमने पीछे मुड़ के भी नहीं देखा, क्योंकि लोग एक दूसरे को कुचल रहे थे। गेट छोटा था, और जो गेट होता है, हाँ, गेट छोटा था, उसका जो एंट्री थी, एग्जिट था, वो सिर्फ 4 फीट का दरवाजा था, और पीछे जो गेट आ रहा था वो 20 फीट लंबा था, उसका 4 फीट की एग्जिट थी, और पब्लिक काफी थी। तो क्या सबको लग रहा था कि हम उस पार हो जाए जंगल में, कि पीछे जो रह जाएंगे तो वो मरेंगे। तो सब 4 फीट के दरवाजे से कूदने को देख रहे थे।
और फायरिंग की आवाज आप लोगों ने
काफी देर चल रही थी।
अच्छा, काफी देर तक। कौन घायल हुआ आपका यहाँ पे?
मिसेज है, 2, जैसे उनको पहाड़ से कूदे तो इनका पैर वहीं पे मुड़ गया, 2 फ्रैक्चर हो गए। अभी यहाँ पे बताया हमारे को, एक्सरे वगैरह की 2 फ्रैक्चर है।
अच्छा, फ्रैक्चर हुआ।
तो फिर मैंने एक बाजू से मैंने पकड़ा, एक बाजू से मेरे बेटे ने पकड़ा, और हमने इनको वहीं पे जैसे हुआ वहीं से फ्रैक्चर की स्थिति में इनको नीचे रख के लाए।
तो जब आपने गोलियों की आवाज सुनी, तो बहुत काफी डरे हुए होंगे?
नहीं, मेरे को एक्चुअली मिसेज थी, मेरा बेटा था, तो उनकी सिक्योरिटी का लग रहा था कि मैं इनको कम से कम नीचे पहुंचा दूं।
अच्छा।
बाकी ऐसा इतना, लेकिन अब वापस जा रहा है, क्योंकि इनका डॉक्टर ने 2 महीने बेड रेस्ट बोल दिया। अच्छा, वहीं पे जाके
अपना नाम बताइए और ये बताइए आप वहाँ पे थे?
Right, so those are some eyewitness accounts coming in. Let's talk about now what we see happening. As we said, PTI is reporting that there are foreigners possibly hit in this terror attack. They're reporting that 2 foreigners may be among the 26. That's the number we have now, 26 tourists who have been killed in these targeted attacks. Brigadier Thapar, I'll start with you. There is going to be a response. And the last time we saw a response that was declared, I'm not talking about the sort of border actions that take place on a daily basis, but the last time we saw a declared response was Balakot, in which several years on after that, that moment. What do you see happening now?
It's definitely there is something going to happen. The Prime Minister has declared it. A lot of other people, important ones in the government, have declared that we're going to retaliate. I would not want to be in the decisive chair right now, because Pakistan knows what's coming. Something is coming. It's prepared. It'll also war game. So the planners, the three chiefs, the intelligence, all the elements who make the decision, the cabinet committee on security, it's their decision. It has to be something different, which Pakistan is not expecting. Otherwise, you may not have the full effect of whatever you planned. But definitely, I see something coming. Maybe not very soon. Next 15, 20 days, something is bound to happen.
Yeah. I want to play out the images that we have from Karnataka. This is the residence of one of the tourists who has been killed. This is the Lok Sabha member of Parliament, Raghavendra. He visited the residence of a Shivamoga resident who was killed in the Pahalgam terror attack. Brigadier Thapar says Pakistan will be wargaming this moment. They know something is coming. We've got to go back to that crazy unhinged speech by Asim Munir. We have JD Vance's response as well, the American Vice President. But let's listen in. There's heartbreak in so many families across India today after this dastardly terror attack in the Kashmir Valley. Play the video? Or is that what we have? I'm not sure. Right. So I think we're waiting for that to come. But as I said, those are distraught families who have been impacted by this. General Sharma, Brigadier Thapar says Pakistan knows what's coming. And the geopolitics, I think, is important. I didn't mention Bangladesh, the renewed, I think one of you did, the renewed connections between Bangladesh and Pakistani military, even while Bangladesh asks for reparations for 1971. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Now, Barkha, let's firstly add to little time on J&K itself. Now, we actually tend to measure the situation in the valley or even south of Pir Panjal by the number of terrorist attacks, number of terrorist initiated incidents, number of civilians killed, and number of soldiers killed. And you tend to extrapolate themselves to say, okay, situation is all hunky-dory and things are improving. And the number of terrorists and number of tourists who come across there is measured in number of 2.5 crores came last year. Of 2.5 crores, there are substantial numbers who went to Vaishno Devi, which are pilgrims, which can't be called as tourists. Or similarly, you can't call people who go to Amarnath as tourists. They are tourists. They don't spend money like that. So, we have a different measure of to broadcast saying things are being better. But let's not play this game in this manner at all. One incident, last time we had an incident in Shivkhori, and, which was near Riyasi. It was, I think, month of June last year, where the bus was hit. And, whole lot of now troops had to be pushed into that direction, So what happens is that our response comes up because of incident happening, one incident. Now, suddenly the focus will be Pahalgam and we will be thinning out from some other places. I think what General Shukla said has great amount of merit here. We have to start thinking in a national security manner in say that what have we done to our manpower issues inside the armed forces here? Are we doing the way we ought to be doing it? We are stressed on the northern borders. We have paucity of manpower starting from COVID times, which has not been made up out here. Same tasks are being performed, but with a lesser manpower and lesser amount of resource out here. I think there needs to be a little templating out as to what is the situation and what does it behove ourselves and change it. So that's a major issue. The second point, which one you raised, yes, of course, we follow what the Chinese are doing in Bangladesh. Look at the Chinese now wanting to do work in the northern areas of Bangladesh, that knob that you see, Rangpur, Dinajpur area, where they are going to start working on the Teesta project. Now, the Chinese will be based at just south of Siliguri corridor. And of course, there are links across with Pakistan being established. The Deputy Prime Minister has just visited Bangladesh. Pakistan's deputy prime minister just visited Bangladesh. The foreign minister were there. Of course, Bangladeshis came up with their issues of reparations, etc. But that apart, there are relationships developing. In fact, China, I would say today, is a South Asian country.
Manoj told me,
They
read
are
the
part of
message.
they are part of each and every country in South Asia. We are
These
being
things get
stretched, and
confirmed.
I'm sure we are not going for a war, but I think we
yeah,
need to have very good safe national security concerns.
Yeah. Sorry, I think General Shukla was speaking. You can complete your point, and then I'll go to Brigadier Thapar. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that we have China is now part and parcel of South Asia, because if you see what's happening out here, Chinese are in every country in South Asia in substantial manner, on closer to our borders. And also, the way Pakistan the deputy prime minister visit to Bangladesh last week, it was a very significant visit in manner that they came up with Banhomi. Only one issue came up about reparation, which died away in some time. We need to be very cautious as to what's happening into our neighborhood and also in this area. And I'll end by one issue here.
Yeah.
The terrorist front you referred to, in your remarks, you said you got some intimation saying this is this is the resistance front. The resistance front, TRF, the organization which owned responsibility. It's a typical way of Pakistanis to tell us that it's an indigenous movement which is targeting this Pahalgam. The TRF, which was formed to show that it is an internal organization. The language is English. The nomenclature shows indigenous one. But that's not true. The fact is, it's just a facade for the LAT. So we must not carry forward this issue globally to say that it is an indigenous movement which Pakistanis have been broadcasting over across the world. That what's happening inside J&K is indigenous in nature.
Yeah. Brigadier Thapar, let's bring you in. It's so hard to actually look at this in a larger geopolitical context because there are so many shifting currents. There's the Trump administration. There's what's happening with China. There's Pakistan as a vassal state of China, but there's also China under siege after the tariffs from Trump. There's Pakistan and Bangladesh reconnecting. There's Modi's Gulf outreach, the prime minister's in Saudi Arabia, right? There is going to be, I think there is no doubt in the minds of any of us here, there is going to be a military response from India. This is all going to happen, and it's all going to add to this churn. Now, from our national security perspective, what would we be looking out most closely at? Brigadier Thapar.
See, I personally feel that we need to convey very unequivocally and very strongly to Pakistan that this kind of behavior will not continue, is not acceptable. And beyond a military response, it has to be a total sum of all other economic, political, diplomatic, all other issues have to come together and force it to, so to say, behave in a manner. A military response will probably get another small one from their side, and they think that we squared up things, and both sides wouldn't want to escalate beyond a particular point so that it doesn't go into a war. But it has to be, you squeeze it economically, you squeeze it internationally, diplomatically, so that it realizes that enough is enough. And we've got the measure, we've got the resources, we've got this international standing, we've got the economic might, maybe not against China, but definitely against Pakistan. So, and we have international say. Prime Minister Modi is well-renowned, respected across the world. So, it can be, pressure can be put on Pakistan to end this in a manner so that these kind of things are not repeated. It will take time, it will take effort, but it has to be a coordinated response. And one military action, one Balakot is not going to force them to stop their activity. This is my particular feeling, but I'm sure General Raj would have better views on this.
I'm so sorry, I muted myself by mistake. I was saying we're getting detailed responses from the military and we'll go through that in just a moment. But in the meantime, a heartbreaking video has emerged of Manjunath. We were just talking about him. He's a victim from Karnataka. His wife is Pallavi. Pallavi reportedly told the terrorists, since you've killed my husband, please kill me also. She is alive. And their last video was sharing a shikara ride before being killed, just moments before. I mean, how are they to know that it would be their last day alive or the husband's last day alive? Take a look at this heartbreaking video.
मैं मंजुनाथ शिवमोगा कर्नाटक से हम इंडियन ट्रैवल स्टोर्स में बुक करके कश्मीर प्रवास में आए हैं। अब हमारा कश्मीर टूर का दूसरा दिन है।
कल हम बोट हाउस में ठहरे थे। बोट हाउस तो बहुत अच्छा था। अब हम शिकारा राइड कर रहे हैं।
शिकारा राइड कर रहे हैं कश्मीर में।
शिकारा राइड करवा रहे हैं मोहम्मद रफीक जी और हमारा सब टूर ऑर्गेनाइज किया है काजल ठाकुर जी, इंडियन ट्रैवल स्टोर से।
बहुत अच्छा लगा, बहुत अच्छा सर्विस। धन्यवाद, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू काजल मैम।
It's heartbreaking to think of this lady who then tells the terrorists, you've killed my husband, you can kill me. Now, remember that this is the true integration of Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of India, right? These kind of moments. And then this man, his body bag will go back home. It is just terrible. Meanwhile, the army is responding in a cowardly and heart-wrenching act of violence. Terrorists opened fire on innocent tourists and locals. So this is important, that locals have also come under attack. Joint forces are overseeing the situation. This is the army statement. The search ops are in progress with all efforts focused in bringing attackers to justice. This is what we are getting from the 15 Corps. Let's get comments now on what we might think the immediate priorities might be for the administration, for the army, for, you know, Pakistan is war gaming, but of course the Indian military will be war gaming as well. I'll start with you, General Shukla. General Shukla.
So I think the Indian military has two obvious responses. One is to tighten the counter-infiltration grid and see what the deficits were, and see that's a challenge of its own, right from the LC through the infiltration avenues, depth areas. The point is that it has occurred so deep in the valley that perhaps this, this terror cell was created, it matured, it was around that area. So, I mean, there are a whole lot of worries in the whole counter-infiltration grid. As far as the second point will be now to structure a military response. And that will have to be, I mean, it could be in either of the domains, land, air, or even the naval domain. I mean, I don't want to sound escalatory, but there are all kinds of options. And the larger strategic dynamics, there will be, I mean, foreign policy issues will have to seen. But I presume it has to be a military response, not immediately, but at some point down the line. And there are other pain points, but given the dastardliness of the incident, the other points, economic and so on, they assume shall I say what, lesser salience. So now the whole test is to deliver this military response, which has to be precise, calibrated, sending a message. And that is the whole challenge of, managing a strategic military instrument, which is what people say, mission ready, lethal. It is, as I said, going to be a big challenge for the military brass. Now they have to act.
Yeah. Let's talk about this military response. A couple of hours ago, I was saying that till the death toll is known, I don't want to get into the speculative game of what, it's not a game, the speculative scenario building of how India might respond. But I think it's quite clear that there will be a military response. The Prime Minister has indicated it. The Lieutenant Governor has indicated it. All of you are in agreement.
The Prime Minister and the others have not pointed to a military response.
No, I'm sorry. I should correct myself. Have indicated that there will be a response. I don't know what that response will be, but what is clear is that this is not going to be absorbed in the manner that, in the CI grid. This is not going to be absorbed in the CI grid that this is a terror attack. You live with a certain degree of violence and terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. It's quite clear that there is there is going to be a response. I should correct myself. General Shukla is saying that it will be most likely a military response. It will be coupled with other responses. We are already in a pretty downscaled equation with Pakistan. But there are other countries now in this mix, right? Our tensions with Bangladesh, our complicated relationship with China, Pakistan's dependence on China, what's happening with in Balochistan. There could be, that's a factor. The Trump administration is not known for its soft handling of these issues. This has happened while Vance is here. We don't know the nationalities of the two foreigners who have been killed. That will be important also. We don't right now know. PTI is reporting that two foreigners have been killed, right? So there are many, many, many factors. And I want to play out a couple of more videos that are emerging from the ground. But before that, General Sharma, General Shukla says there will be a structured military response. What might that, I don't want to talk operationally, but what are the challenges right now? Where will be the Indian military's attention? Can't hear General Sharma.
I'll repeat myself what I said initially. I don't want to outguess it. We may have been privy to some kind of thought process earlier in service career on what all responses could be carried out, and let's leave it to at that juncture and not bring it to the fore. But frankly speaking, they can be response. One of the biggest problem, at least what Pakistan faces, is their not so friendly neighbor on the western side, which is Afghanistan. And we need to continue some kind of serious work with Afghanistan, and see what we can do to keep Pakistanis busy on the opposite side also. Frankly speaking, there is much we can do militarily. There's much we can do otherwise also. We can exploit the Afghanistan issue. There is an issue which many people now talking whether we should terminate the LOC ceasefire. The ceasefire has been on from last about 5 odd years, and it has lived in. There have been some kind of infractions, but not many. I personally would not vouch for the line of the LOC ceasefire to be terminated, because many of us, General Shukla and self-commanded divisions on the LOC, and what happens is that the effect comes on the civilian populations quite a bit. The civilian populations will stay so close to the borders, they till the land, and damage. So I don't personally subscribe to the view that we should terminate the ceasefire. We can do with the responses which I've tried out. Maybe some time has come, instead of only glib talk about Indus Water Treaty, do something about it. Now start thinking on those lines. Say fine, enough. Much talk has been done in last 50 years on Indus Water Treaty. Let's do something. So we can open out the quiver, take out all the arrows and point them one by one and take target, instead of saying one response. What people are looking for is a Balakot or a surgical strike. Let's have a quiver of responses happening over a period of time, which actually cause a little bit of anxiety in Pakistan.
So relook the Indus Water Treaty. Do we take another look at the LOC ceasefire? But if you end the LOC ceasefire, you also end up hurting civilians on our side. Please remember that those who live close to the line of control, will be literally in the firing line. I want to play out a video that has surfaced on social media where a tourist is walking through as screams and gunshots can be heard in the background. Trigger warning again, these videos are disturbing to watch, but they are essential to watch as well to capture the horror of what has unfolded in Pahalgam in Kashmir. Take a look. So it's just a few seconds, but it's this sort of dissonance, right? You can see this man walking in this sort of silver and green, and then you can hear the screams in the distance. You can hear the gunshots. It is surreal. It reminds you of the Kashmir of old. General Shukla, this point about the Indus Water Treaty, the LOC ceasefire, are those things? The ceasefire has been one CBM, so to speak, that is more or less held. I remember being at the LOC on days when there was artillery fire that was traded. RT fire was normal. Are we going to be looking at the LOC ceasefire now possibly being withdrawn? General Shukla, would you recommend that?
Quite possible. See, I too would not like to second guess people who are now at the helm and they have to take their decisions. But as an independent commentator, I think the response has to be far beyond that. It cannot be, breaking down the ceasefire on the LAC. It has to be a larger response. But one thought crossed my mind, and I think this is a good time to discuss it. Look how collusivity plays out. I remember distinctly before 26/11, the Indian Army, and now it's in the public domain, so we can talk about it, had done this whole exercise to rebalance to the Chinese border. Why it did not happen was because of 26/11. So because of 26/11, we got transfixed for a while longer along the LC, and then Galwan happened. So you see, there is no design, but the larger threat, which is China, what often comes in the way of our addressing it is 26/11 and now these kinds of incidents. Now, I am tempted to conclude that some of these issues have a connect. If you see what's happening in Bangladesh, it couldn't be innocent. All these things suddenly coming together, Lal Moner Heart, landlockedness, oceanic excess, the nature of the inventory of Bangladesh. Yeah. So we have to realize, and I get back to that whole point, recognize the grimness of our strategic environment. We not only have to play hard at such moments, but begin to play the long game. And we must also understand that as we get into this league of big power competition, all military initiatives will not be successful. There will be all kinds of, setbacks too. So as this Indian state grows, we have to enlarge this. That is very essential. Our whole strategic outlook, how we factor in various threats, that is the larger point. And I mean, if I may just be a little critical, we have been very tactical in our responses, and that lies at the heart of our, strategic challenges. So this is yet again a time to step up our game. I want in all these tactical issues.
Yeah, before I take maybe a few last comments, let's play out political reactions keep pouring in from Jammu and Kashmir. Wahid Para is a young politician of the PDP. He has had his own battles with the law, but he's given an impassioned statement condemning what has happened today. Let's take a look.
I don't know words to how to ask the question. Unexpected, terrible attack on tourists after a very long time during this peak spring season.
We condemn this act in the strongest words. It's an inhuman act and a completely terrorist act. It's a completely massacre of innocents. And we stand with the families of those who've been martyred today. और हर शख्स जो आज बेगुनाह शख्स जो टूरिस्ट थे जो कश्मीर में आए, कश्मीर एक मेहमान नवाज जगह है जहां लोगों ने अपनी जानें दी अपने मेहमानों के लिए. तो ये कश्मीरियों के खिलाफ है ये इंसिडेंट और एक दहशतगर्दाना इंसिडेंट है. कंप्लीटली हम इसको एक टेररिस्ट एक्ट से कम कुछ नहीं कह सकते. इंसानियत के खिलाफ है, कश्मीरियों के खिलाफ है और न सिर्फ इस पे प्रोब होना चाहिए बल्कि इसकी जितनी मजम्मत की जाए वो कम है. उसके साथ साथ मैं आपको बताऊं जो लोग आज शहीद हुए बेगुनाह लोग, मैं उनको शहीद कहूँगा और क्योंकि वो टूरिस्ट थे, हमारे मेहमान थे और इस तरीके का इंसिडेंट दहशतगर्दी से कम कुछ भी नहीं है.
किस तरह का एक इम्पैक्ट पड़ सकता है जहाँ काफी मेहनत की गई है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से, फोर्सेस की तरफ से, टू सम एक्सटेंट
बहुत बुरा इम्पैक्ट है हम सब पे. पिछले सालों की जो मेहनत है उस पे कोशिश की जा रही है कि अमन को डिरेल करने की. उसके साथ साथ हम सब लोगों के खिलाफ, चाहे हमारी मायशत हो, ट्रेड हो, चाहे हमारा टूरिज्म हो, चाहे हमारी जो इमेज है पूरे मुल्क में, उस पर एक धब्बा लग जाता है ऐसे इंसिडेंट से. ये इंसानियत के खिलाफ है ऐसा इंसिडेंट.
टूरिस्टों पे हमला नहीं है, हम लोगों पर
हम पे हमला है, हम पे कश्मीरियों पे ये हमला है और हमने जो मेहमान नवाजी की है उस पे हमला है और हम सब लोगों पे ये इंसानियत पे हमला है.
जिन्होंने भी किया हम उनको कश्मीरी नहीं कह सकते.
This is an inhuman act completely, and all of them who are responsible for that it's a completely terrorist act, and in the strongest words we condemn this.
क्योंकि कैजुअलिटीज बहुत है जिसकी वजह से होम मिनिस्टर का भी अभी श्रीनगर लैंड हुआ है, तो एक प्रॉपर तरीके से इसकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन होनी चाहिए और जो भी
टफेस्ट एक्शन होना चाहिए जो भी इसमें लोग इन्वॉल्व हैं. इसमें इससे ज्यादा इसकी शदीद अल्फाजों में हम इसकी कंडेमनेशन करते हैं और इन लोगों को बिल्कुल शहीदों का दर्जा मिलना चाहिए. बेगुनाह लोग हैं, इनोसेंस है और ऐसा इनोसेंस पे जिन लोगों ने भी हमला किया है वो इंसानियत के खिलाफ है।
ये भी इंडिकेट करता है कि जहाँ से हर तरफ स्पेशली एग्जीक्यूटिव की तरफ से कि नॉर्मसी काफी पीक पर है, मिलिटेंसी का अभी एक लास्ट
Right. So reactions are continuing to pour in. Let's take closing comments from our guests on immediate priorities. The Home Minister, I'm sure he'll speak at some point. He hasn't spoken yet. He's in that high-level meeting. Let's get comments. Brigadier Thapar, I'll start with you. Sorry, sir, I can't hear you. Could we unmute
Sorry.
Brigadier Thapar? Yes, sir. Yeah.
In my mind, it's very clear. We discussed the reasons, Asif Munib, jugular vein, everything. The thing which convinced me was that asking names and killing them, shooting them, that it has the Pakistan signature all over it. There is nothing else can convince me. It has Pakistan written all over it. Having said that, a response is required. Like my worthy other colleagues have said, that let's not second guess. It's a difficult choice. I personally feel, apart from military response, whether a single or multiple small ones like has been suggested, I feel that time has come that it has to be a sum of all responses, economic, political, diplomatic, and a continued thing. You don't do it and 6 months later you say enough, ho gaya, let's sit down and relax. The pressure has to continue on it, on Pakistan forever. It should know that yes, we can rake Afghanistan, we can rake Iran, we can do Indus Water Treaty, we can open the LC, we can artillery firing, we can have small scale attacks, the Air Force, Navy, we can create economic crisis for you, dump 20,000 crores and outsell its cotton and wheat and bring it to its knees. It can be done. A lot of things can be done to drive home the point that enough is enough. So I think a time has come that the government has to sit, the strategists have to sit and define a 2-3 year long process in which, okay, we do this, a timeline, we do this now, we do this after 3 months, we do this at that time. That has to be stretched out, in my view.
Yeah, before I give General Sharma the last word, relatives all across India who have families in Pahalgam, with their heart in their hands, are wondering whether their loved ones are safe. This is a statement from someone in Pune. We saw, that heartbreaking video of a man from Karnataka with his wife. This is somebody whose brother-in-law has taken a bullet. This is a statement from them, Jamuna Jagdale from Pune. Take a look.
मेरे देवर संतोष जगदाले और उनकी वाइफ प्रगति जगदाले, उनकी बेटी आशावरी जगदाले, ये तीनों जन कश्मीर घूमने के लिए गए थे और जो मेरे देवर हैं उनको गोली लगी हुई है और बाकी लेडीज सेफ हैं, ऐसा आया है न्यूज़ में, मगर एक्चुअली मेरा उनसे कांटेक्ट नहीं हो पा रहा है, इसलिए मैं कुछ अभी बता नहीं पा रही हूँ। नहीं, लेडीज का तो सेफ है, उनको थोड़ा सा जो कुछ हुआ है वो सेफ है, मगर जो मेरे देवर हैं उनके बारे में अभी वहां से ही हमको कोई खबर नहीं आई है, इसलिए मैं आगे का कुछ नहीं बता पा रही हूँ। जमुना गोविंद जगदाले।
Right. I don't know. This is not confirmed yet, but we're getting news that one Indian Navy officer may be among those who have been killed. While we try to confirm this, let me play out for you local accounts. Remember, these are locals who are protesting. They were also there as first responders. They were the people who are taking up the ponies. They're the people whose economy and livelihood is going to be the worst hit. As Sajad Lone said, these are the enemies of Kashmir. Let's get a local eyewitness account.
मैं टूरिस्ट गाइड पहलगाम हूँ, टूरिस्ट पुलिस में काम करते हैं हम ऑन स्पॉट उस वक्त ड्यूटी, लेकिन हम 2:40 से मुनिज स्टेशन से बाहर निकले हैं, हम वजू के लिए नीचे निकले हैं, तो जहाँ हम वजू करते हैं तो वहाँ से हम थोड़ा यही 100 मीटर नीचे आ गए हैं मैदान से, मुनिज स्विट्जरलैंड से, तो हमने पीछे 2 फायर सुने हैं, लोग जमा हो गए हैं, हमने ऊपर इसी के साथ ही फायरिंग शुरू हो गया है। फिर जब जाई मौके वारदात पर पहुंचे हैं तो हमने 3 इंजर्ड को उठाया और रेस्क्यू किया।
रेस्क्यू किया है। क्या आप वहाँ पे मौजूद थे उस टाइम?
मौजूद थे।
अच्छा, कितने टेररिस्ट थे? कितने
टेररिस्ट हमने नहीं देखे, हमने खाली फायरिंग देखी है।
अच्छा, फायरिंग देखी है। तो फिर आपने टूरिस्ट को उठा के जीएमसी
पहलगाम हॉस्पिटल से जेएमसी पहुंचाया है।
अच्छा। तो लोकल लोगों ने भी वहाँ पे
बहुत रेस्क्यू किया। लोकल लोगों की मदद से सब रेस्क्यू हो गया उधर। जब तक हमला उधर पहुंचा है, क्योंकि वो पहाड़ी इलाका है।
पहली बार ऐसा वाक़ा वहाँ पे हुआ?
नहीं, कभी नहीं हुआ है।
अच्छा,
पहली बार कभी नहीं हुआ।
अच्छा।
Those are the local responses that are coming in. In the meantime, I want to bring in the information we have. An Indian Navy officer, ANI, is reporting, Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, only 26 years old. He was posted in Kochi. He was on leave. He'd come for a holiday. He just got married in April, so probably was on a wedding holiday. He's among those who has been killed as per ANI. This is coming from ANI. It's just an endless series of devastating, terrible news. General Sharma, last word to you, sir. General Sharma.
You feel anguished hearing all this, what is happening here. It is painful. And, it's a national calamity. You have shown visuals from Karnataka, from Pune, from all over. Now, to end all, I wish to say something, see, we have this calamity which has happened. I think, people take advantage of such calamities for security forces to find ways out of avoiding the next one. There is an obvious, anguish in the people, locals out there as to what has happened, because the entire tourist season goes for next 4-6 months that they were to have. So it's the right time. These people who have done the firing have melted away in the forested areas. Finally, will fall back into the same areas for sustenance, for finding food, for finding some shelter. We have to now get across to tell to the public and say, look, you can't allow this thing to keep happening. The problem is with the public, the larger masses who are not with the terrorists, who are not radicalized. Those people are the ones which we must address, and the community leaders of small communities, to say, I'm not saying political parties, but smaller communities, the villages, the panchayats, the people who security forces hailing from those people, to say, look, let's finish this. You have to come back and tell us that there are 4 people moving around here. I am told now we are not able to so easily pick up the communication that happens between terrorists and Pakistan handlers because of the kind of sophistication they brought across into communication. We need to upgrade ourselves to make sure to find out as to if there is some kind of sophisticated communication going on between the handlers and them. And I'll again end up by saying, sir, that we have serious situation on the northern borders where we are stressed like you can't imagine. We have situation now emanating last 1 year south of Pir Panjal. It's happened now in north of Pir Panjal. We need to consider this entire thing holistically to say, okay, there are inimical forces working against us, and we need to address these issues in that manner.
Absolutely. We leave it there. Thank you so much to General Sharma, to Brigadier Thapar. We now have the number of 26 tourists killed. PTI reports that there are 2 foreign nationals among them. ANI reports that there's a young Navy officer who just got married. There is a wife who pleaded with the terrorists, if you've killed my husband, kill me too. They released their video from a shikara, happy at being in Kashmir from Karnataka just moments ago. This remains a definitive image. A woman recently married with her husband killed on the ground beside her. It is heartbreaking. It is enraging. There are no words that are appropriate or sufficient for this. The Prime Minister has indicated that India will respond. Our experts agree that that response will be military, but it will have to be accompanied by other very considered, not just medium term, but long-term decisions, given what's happening in the world, the challenge with China, the tension with Bangladesh. The Prime Minister is in Saudi Arabia, JD Vance is in India, the US Vice President has responded to this terror attack. There's just so much going on, and all of this coming days after a very unhinged communal speech by the Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir. We'll leave you now. I want to say as we come out of these images. Thank you again to General Shukla earlier, to General Sharma, Brigadier Thapar. Not at all a good way to end the day. And in some ways, it's only just begun. Over the next few hours, we're going to get more individual names to faces of those who have been killed, young lives lost, military officers among them. And we're going to hear from the Home Minister, from the government, or you may not hear till much later. They may keep their cards close to their chest. We don't know. But something is going to happen, and it is going to, it is going to be, the next few weeks are going to be grim and tense and anxious and important and significant. Thank you so much, everybody, and take care and see you all soon.
Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.